Hi there, Wolt Chums. Before we get started with this episode, I wanted to share some exciting news. Earlier this year, I partnered with the team at Lose It to write a course called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Weight, a mindset-first approach to lasting weight loss. This is a premium course for Lose It, but now through the end of October, our friends at Lose It are offering this as a complimentary gift for our friends at Wolt Place. So if you were thinking about joining Wolt Place, We Only Look Thin Place, our Facebook-based accountability group for women, this is the perfect time to do so. Again, now through the end of October, new and existing members of Wolt Place will be receiving this as a complimentary gift. So head over to weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for join our support group, sign up, and you will qualify for this amazing offer. I'm so proud of the work I did on this. I want to thank the team at Lose It, Sarah and Hannah, for including me in this project. And now we will get on with the show. Thanks for listening. And welcome to an interview from the Beyond episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I have lost over 120 pounds and kept it off for 5 years. I can never remember.
It's like 6 now.
6 years. Thank you. I'm not good with numbers. But I am a Tiny Habit certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. And here ghoulishly with me today is
Donald Weigel. I don't know how ghoulish I am, but I am here with you today. I have lost about 100 pounds. I have kept it off for about 5.5 years, not quite 6 yet. And we are here to talk about it. I will try and be as ghoulish as possible.
Well, when I met you, you were as gothish as
that's
possible.
true.
You were a little bit goth.
I spent many years wearing nothing but black clothes and oftentimes wore black nail polish and eyeliner and had the sides of my head shaved and all kinds of things that fun people do in their teens and 20s.
Yeah, and I was one of the grunges, and he was a goth. Yeah. And somehow we made it work.
We were on opposite sides of the the something.
Yeah, but we made it work. We actually sort of semi-met at a Cool Beans Kids Club called City Gardens.
You make it sound like it's Romper Room.
It's Romper Room.
A Cool Beans Kids Club, like we were like coloring.
Like a ball pit.
Like I needed the bittersweet shimmer crayon and you had it, and at the ball pit.
No, we actually met at a health food store, but then we would see each other across the room, a darkened room at Cool Beans Kids Club.
Very cool club in Trenton, New Jersey that had a lot of edgy bands. And it was nice.
Yeah, but I thought he was a man of darkness and mistoire.
You were so wrong.
No, but I remember you said you were going to go away for like a week, and I was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm going to Disney World with my family." And he was like, and he was like, "Oh, and my parents." And I'm like, "Your parents are married? What is happening?" I didn't think that was a thing.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty nice upbringing and all that.
Yeah.
And I still somehow gravitated towards black clothes and skulls and spiders and things.
Yeah, but he didn't need to be fixed. And so I said, I'm not interested in you right now. Right. I need damaged goods, man.
Right, exactly.
But
and, the damage came later.
It did. No, you were awesome. There's no damage.
Well, thank you.
You're wonderful. But
I guess it's appropriate that we are starting off with this trip down memory lane of the early days of our relationship as we are moving forward. Last week, we did an episode where we reflected upon the things that we've learned over the last 7 years as we've as we've grown and evolved along our weight loss and fitness journey adventures. And this week we are going to continue with that, interviewing each other about things that we learned.
Yep, but there's no mirror in this episode because we're talking about vampires.
Vampires,
actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like
it's just a good title.
It's a good title.
Thinterview with the vampire.
Yeah,
it's not. It worked pretty well.
It's not October yet, but I know we like to do macabre episode ideas for October, so we need to think about that too, about what episodes we're doing for October that have to do with
it will probably surprise no one. We actually have a list of some titles like backed up, so we'll see how that goes. But speaking of things that are macabre, two things. One is that show that's on AMC, the Interview with the Vampire Show, is very, very good.
It's really good.
It's very adult. It's R-rated, not for the children, but very, very good. And two, speaking of things that are macabre, I owe you an apology.
Oh, I like this episode. I'm gonna give it 5 stars.
So last week, one of the questions was, what is something you've changed your tune about?
Oh, okay.
And you said, I don't feel comfortable saying that because I don't like ending a sentence with a preposition. And I said, about's not a preposition, so you're fine. I have since done some research.
Your research,
and discovered
yes.
that according to 2 sources on the internet, that about is used as a preposition about 30% of the time. And so in that particular case, it is, and I was very wrong, and I apologize. And I haven't gotten any angry emails from listeners yet, but I apologize to anyone out there who was yelling at their podcast
probably
device.
Nicole. If Nicole listens to this,
that I was incorrect about my grammar assertion.
Wait, but are you apologizing to me?
I'm apologizing to you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were apologizing to the listeners.
No, I apologize to you first, and then also the listeners.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so you were right. That was a preposition.
I love about you that you, like, something comes up and then you kind of disappear for 20 minutes. And it's because you've been researching whatever it was we were talking about. The year Mr. Pibb came out.
I like to fact check things.
You do? Oh, so when did you actually fact check that? Like immediately after the podcast? Like this is new information for me.
No, I do some editing on the podcast, cut some things out that, when we stumble or whatnot. And people are out there listening going like, they cut out some of the stuff.
News.
But when I listened to the whole thing from start to finish, just to make sure that I didn't miss any glaring problems, and when I listened to it back, I decided to check it.
Wow. Well, thank you for coming clean.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I
feel a lot better. Like a weight has been lifted. Yeah, like I could have just let it go, but...
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. So we have some more questions, queries. No, I didn't actually look at a thesaurus, so I have nothing else to say.
Quizzical queries for each other. Yes,
queries.
Things that we've learned. We are almost at episode 300 of the show, and we are reflecting upon the important things that we've learned along the way.
Yeah, and so we are going to share our wisdom with you, as we usually do. I don't know why.
And maybe Catherine will be able to say a word with a W in a normal way.
I don't know about that.
Wisdom.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, okay. So
Whippoorwill.
The whippoorwill. So I will try to say what I'm going to say next without saying the word W with a weird pronunciation. So we're going to dive right in, everybody. So here we go. The first Thinterview with a wampir question.
Wampir?
Okay. You know what? I'm just me. So what are you going to do? Okay.
Yeah.
What did you believe that wasn't actually true about yourself? Back in the day when you started, what did you believe about yourself that ended up not being true?
Well, I think the primary thing is that, well, actually, I just thought of another answer to this. But the primary thing is that I thought I was not capable of moderating
Okay.
foods.
I remember that.
Like I felt like with things like soda and really anything, desserts, chips, whatever, that I couldn't have any of it at all, because if I had any of it, then I was going to have all of it. And it has turned out over the years that I am pretty good at moderating things, and I can have a lot of it has to do with making sure that I have single serve versions of things around. It's pretty easy for me to moderate when I have like a half an ounce bag of chips, those like very small, like self-serve, or a fun size candy bar, versus having, like a big, huge, a warehouse store sized bag of something.
Yeah.
But I am in fact capable of moderating some things.
Well, and we did an episode, I think we did I'm a Carby Girl, and then I think we did another one about using all of the P words that start with P, about prioritizing, planning, pausing.
Carby Girl was that episode.
Portion size, and pre-tracking, lots of different P words to actually strategize on how to moderate. Because when I used to go to Weight Watchers meetings, they would be like, enjoy everything in moderation. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to implement it. So for me, the big thing was having policies around circumstances for enjoying certain foods, whether it's after dark, like a vampire might. Sorry, did I almost make you choke on your pumpkin spice coffee?
Almost.
It's delightful. It's the holiday season. But for me, having those policies was a really great way to help me moderate as well. So do you have other things that were big changes for you?
Yeah. And another one was that I've learned that it really wasn't my metabolism or genetics that was stopping me. I mean, I really, there were parts of my life where I firmly believed that I just wasn't capable of losing the weight or hitting a goal weight, because there had to be something special about me, about my genetics, my metabolism, that was stopping me from doing it. Because look at all these other people that are walking around thin.
Yeah. No, I mean, just it reminded me of, like, wouldn't it be wonderful to be some medical anomaly that was like, no, he's totally right. All the blood work checks out.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do. He should just eat whatever he wants.
The Snickers gene is not effective.
Because trying will lead to nothing.
Yeah.
The Snickers gene.
Is this a question that I will answer also?
Yes, please.
Oh, now that you mention it, thank you. Our organic styling.
I didn't think I had to invite you to answer it.
All vampires need to be invited to answer things.
Catherine, please, you're welcome to come in and enter this question. So,
okay. Thank you.
What are things that you believed about yourself 7 years ago that turned out to be wrong?
Oh, well, thank you.
Or 8 years ago, however you want to look at it.
Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for asking me.
Wow.
So I actually had to think about this one because it's been a while. It has been a while. So for me, the big one was I thought I was too busy. Too busy.
Oh, yeah.
Too busy to focus on my weight loss. Who has the time? I am a modern woman. I drive as many as 3 miles to get to work every day. I have a full-time job and a full-time husband and a child. Who has the time? I was always very jealous of other people, saying like, oh, must be nice. Must be nice to be them, to have the time to get up, to be able to do all the things. They had more money than me, more time than me, more focus than me. Must be nice. I also thought I was too old if I hadn't figured it out by age 20 or 30, which people had actually said, if you don't figure it out by X, it's too late.
Yeah.
Thinking that was some sort of motivation. But that was not at all the case. I also just thought things weren't fair in life.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't. And then I'll go through these hopefully pretty quickly. So, these are kind of some heavy hitters that it took me a while to come up with these, but here we go. I believed at the time that I needed to solve all of my family's extended family problems. That was all on me, that I was imbued with some righteousness that meant that everything had to fall on my shoulders and thus all the food in my mouth. And then also, I didn't have the right to change my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that once I
That's
said
a good one,
yes
too.
to a volunteer thing,
Yeah,
or
I thought the
yes,
same thing.
or if there was an argument that, and I've talked about this before, about like not really being equipped to deal with big emotions in the moment, I felt like if I didn't say my piece, that I could never change my mind. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I just thought like, well, it's too late for me to tell someone what I really think, or
Right.
it's too late for me to pull out of a commitment that I made. There were plenty of other people doing it. And I said, again, must be nice to be them, to be able to speak their mind. I just didn't think I deserved to be able to be flexible at all. And that led to a lot of feeling like a victim. And as a reward for my self-victimization, I would eat all of the food. And so that has maybe been one of the biggest changes in me.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I can moderate chips. And you're like, you're going deep.
Sorry.
No, I just feel like I should have come up with some better answers. But luckily, we're both here to answer the question. All right. So,
Yes.
Catherine Weigel.
Yes.
Shall we move on to the next question?
Inviting me? Yes.
Yes. So I will invite you to answer the next question. What did you stress about I'm adding this part very hard. What did you really stress about in the early days that ended up not being a big deal?
All right, here we go. People aren't going to like it.
Oh, wow.
You aren't going to like it, everybody.
Wow, the look on your face. I thought this was a lighthearted question.
When I started out, the idea of tracking my calories was like wolf's bane.
Whoa.
Garlic.
Garlic.
Holy water to a vampire.
We're on the vampire thing, yeah.
It was the least fair, worst put upon, how am I going to find time in my busy day to track for like 4 minutes a day?
Yeah.
5 minutes maybe at the most. How is this part of my life? I am telling you right now, if anyone with an incurable disease was told that like just jotting some numbers down,
I know,
would save them.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine. I'll do that. We feel like it is this unfair.
I'm not sure people would, actually.
But, like,
there's a lot of people that really hate tracking out there.
But, and I know that there are people out there who have bigger disordered eating issues than Donald and I have, and I acknowledge that, and I know that there is trauma around a lot of disordered eating for us in our just really making bad choices because we like to eat food situation. Tracking has been key, whether that's tracking calories or tracking just what you eat or sort of paying attention to portion size.
Yeah, or macros or carbs or whatever it is that you're tracking.
Or,
like I don't know how to do this without tracking calories. Like there may be a quote unquote better way to do this, but I have not found it yet. No one has presented it to me, and you know, we've said it before, but it's sort of like trying to cut down on your spending without looking at a bank account or without actually like tracking what you're spent, like your purchases, you know, and then somehow figuring that, well, I feel like I'm doing better.
Well, and I think too, you know, there are people who do intuitive eating, and I totally respect it. If you do mindful eating, you're paying attention. And I think that element of really being mindful and attentive is a practiced skill, just like tracking calories is. And I thought it was unfair. There are so many people out there who don't need to do it. Why me? This is going to be terrible. But guess what? 5 years, 6 years into maintenance, I am still tracking. And I did a survey in Wolt Place at one point of people who were maintaining their weight. And the common thread through all of it was that all of them were still tracking somehow, whether it was Weight Watcher points or calories. They were still doing it. It is a non-negotiable for me. Maybe someday, 20 years from now, when I'm in my dotage, I will, the gloaming.
Yeah. The gloaming
of my life.
Wow.
I will be able to not track right now. It's just It's like a gravity issue. It's something I do. I can't fight gravity. Calories are calories for me. It is critical for me, and it is not a big deal. Like, I don't fret about it. I just do it, and it really helps me stay on track. God bless you if you are able to do this without tracking. For me, it's just what I do, and I don't mind it. So,
yeah, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but this is a hard one for me to sympathize with people, but because it's very easy for me to track. I know that's not very sympathetic to people who hate it, but I have to think about it like there are different housework jobs that I don't mind doing. Like, I don't mind doing laundry or dishes or putting dishes away, but like I really can't stand dusting. And like if it was up to me to vacuum the place, we would be in Crumb City. Like, both of those drive me crazy to do. So I get it. Like, there are people out there going like, well, vacuuming's easy, like dusting's easy, but I hate doing the dishes. So, everybody's got their things.
Well, but I see it as self-care. Like,
right.
There are self-care tasks like brushing your teeth or taking your medication or taking a shower that are just, it's what you do as a grown-up. And I've put tracking in that category of like, this is what a grown-up does. And so I do it. And it's not a big deal. Donald Jr., Weigel Jr.,
that is
Vaughn, Vampire.
That is the name on my birth certificate, yes.
What is your answer to the question?
All right.
I don't even remember the question now.
We talked a lot about this already, so I'll just try to be brief. But the question was, what did you stress about that ended up not being a big deal? And at the beginning for me, when I first got my diabetes diagnosis, it was sugar. I avoided all sugar. I went to sugar-free everything. And, I think that was helpful for a while, but now it's really not a big deal. I don't have to watch it nearly as much. I have to, keep an eye on my weight to keep my my diabetes in check, but sugar itself is not a big deal. And I thought, there was a point where I thought having a little bit of sugar would then send me reeling into madness to have a lot. And I, it goes back to that earlier question, and I have realized I am actually capable of moderating. It takes practice, and it takes like setting up systems and policies like we were talking about before. And then the last thing that I really thought was a big deal that isn't was hitting streaks. Or always hitting my step goal. Like, I saw...
Oh, my gosh.
I used to see missing a day of something as a disaster.
Right.
And like, okay, this is the end. I've blown it. I may as well just give up and not do anything, after one day. And that really is not a big deal. And when you really adopt a long-term, lifelong view of all of this, it becomes just a blip when you miss one day. Now, you miss a day and it turns into 2 weeks, that's a much bigger deal. But just missing a day here and there is not a big deal. Yeah,
we're not here for streaks. I mean, some people get a thrill from it. I know there are many people who thrive on streaks. But that idea of, like someone walking into a room and being like, oh, you look like you've gotten a streak. No, it's like, no, you look fit and healthy and you're glowing and whatever. That's what people see. Those are the changes, not the, the mechanics of like getting 10,999 steps instead of 11,000, which I actually twisted my ankle once trying to get steps at midnight in the gloaming. So, oh boy, I'm not very good at the gloaming is more around like sunset, actually. Oh, okay. Yeah, that one I won't have to apologize for you later because I'm confident on it. Okay, so on to our next question. I don't know why I sound like that. Okay, so on to our next question. Donald. You still don't sound like a normal person. Donald, I don't know how to people a lot of times. I'm socially awkward. Yeah. What was a bigger deal than you thought it would be back in the day? Sort of the reverse of the last question. Right. So the last question was what did I really stress about that's not a big deal? This one is what ended up being a bigger deal than I thought it would be. Thank you for asking my question for me, Donald. Right. What is your answer? I was trying to explain to further to the listeners so that they got it. So I think
what ended up being a bigger deal to me, number one, is vacation recovery or holiday recovery. I have unfortunately discovered that I can really do some damage in like a week's vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's that old, it's a terrible expression, but people say a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. You eat a bite of food. I have had some real issues with like eating as much as like my body will allow on a vacation, and then I spend literally months like taking weight back off after that amount of time. So really going into vacations and holidays with a much better mindset about not digging myself into that deeper hole has been a much bigger deal for me than I thought. And then the other thing that really comes to mind is that my calorie goal in maintenance is a much bigger deal.
Oh, yeah.
It would be.
That's a good one.
I had this vision of I would be eating a particular calorie goal every day. And then when I hit my goal weight, I could then add more calories to my life in order to maintain my weight. And it actually has been a little bit of the opposite. I'm now almost 6 years in, and it seems as if as I get older, I actually have had to lower it a bit more than when I was actively trying to lose the 100 pounds in the first place, just to maintain.
That margin is much smaller, and the impact of going off track is bigger.
Right. And that has been a much bigger deal than I thought, especially in maintenance. Like I thought it was going to be, I would be able to eat a lot more comfortably.
Yeah, no, that is not the case for me. No, I mean, I think our answers are very similar, that like setting standards for vacation, because early in the day we did an episode about Walt Disney World. Oh, Walt, you're so funny.
Yeah.
But I think I gained, in a week at Disney World, I think I gained 5 to 8 pounds and then worked a little bit of it off. But then guess what? Another vacation came along, and then there's another 5 pounds, and then it's Christmas and there's another 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's that opening up to weight gain in really small ways. Like I'm great when I'm not on vacation, but then that vacation comes in and then it's much harder to lose. So that is a really big one.
Yeah. Just this past July, I gained like 7 or 8 pounds in 10 days. And I really didn't think I was even anywhere near that, or that really even like scientifically shouldn't be possible for someone to do that, but I did it anyway.
Well, and I actually on vacation, finally, after 5-6 years of maintaining my weight, I was able to set a standard for myself on vacation, which was my only thing that I was going to stick to was, you know what, have a salad. Have a salad every day. And
you really did. You really did.
Every day I was like, you know what, that'll make me feel good. And I gained maybe a pound or 2, but have been able to take it off. I mean, you've lost more weight this year. If we're comparing pound for pound.
I took the weight back off. And look, I think I've mentioned it a few times before. I had a rough holiday season last year, and put on a decent chunk of weight. And I've taken off something like 12 or 14 pounds this year, like on balance.
Right in front of my face.
Right.
In the gloaming, which now I'm going to just use inappropriately from now on.
But exactly. But I need to, in the gloaming, I need to really come into this upcoming holiday season as we are starting to approach October, November, December. I really need to listen to my own advice and go in and not dig myself into that deeper hole, like as we go towards the last part of the year here.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm answering these questions.
Yes, please.
Or this question.
Yeah.
These riddles 3.
Yes.
So for me, a big one was, and this is probably the biggest one for me, is the setting of boundaries. I had no idea that I had an issue with overcommitment and stressing myself out by involving myself in problems that weren't my own, or just saying yes because I didn't feel like I had the right to say no. And for me, the boundary part is probably what I'm strongest with right now. So for me, setting boundaries, asserting my boundaries, checking my calendar before I say yes to anything, and being able to go back and say like, hey, you know what? I've given it some more thought and I can't commit to that, has been so helpful for not only my mental health, but also my relationship with emotional eating, because I used to eat about all of my problems and revenge eat and secret eat. And that has really gone down because I am more accountable to myself about how I spend my time. So for me, that has been really critical. And it's something I honestly, until 5 or 6 months into my weight loss journey venture, I had no idea that I had a problem with overcommitment.
I think I was well farther into it. Wow, that was terribly said. I think I was much deeper into my my like 100-pound loss before I ever started thinking about boundaries. But using my vampire fortune telling powers, vampires have those, right?
Yeah, what's it called? Glamoring?
Yeah,
I don't use any words correctly now.
That's when you hypnotize somebody.
Oh.
I believe that will probably come up a little bit on the next episode as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, are we ready for the next question?
We are. I think that we're rounding it up, everybody.
All right, so I think this will be the last question for this episode. And the question is, Catherine Weigel.
Yes.
What are your favorite or your one or two like all-star non-mindset related tips or habits that you've learned over the last
Okay, so kind
years.
of like my practical tips.
Your
like
practical
not
tips,
my mind.
like things that maybe when you started, they weren't obvious to you, but you've learned them, even maybe, since you hit your goal weight, that kind of a thing.
All right, so I'll start with sort of the easier one, the adding volume. Pumping up the volume.
Pump up the volume. I also have that written down right here.
Oh, fun.
That's one of my all-stars also.
It's that, like, you know what? I could add an apple. Like, I don't have an apple problem. I don't have a salad problem. If I'm getting something, like when we were on vacation this summer, I don't have a salad. Like, why not have a salad? You can also have other things, but just adding in a bit of volume. It really does help with filling me up, a little bit of satiation.
Yeah.
Easy to say. I don't know why I talk like this. Oh my gosh.
Because it's delightful.
Do all grown-ups talk like this? Or is it just us?
No, you're special.
Or just me? I'm sorry to tie you into that.
And wonderful.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, I apologize in advance. So for me, that has been really big. It's like, what's the big deal? Just add a carrot.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you.
Adding low-calorie vegetables, fruits, pickles. Long-time listeners of this show will know I love pickles. Pickles are essentially calorie-free, and you can eat as many of them as you want, and I find dill pickles, cornichons, delicious.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that kind of thing. Mushrooms, onions. Like I make a big batch of sauteed mushrooms and onions about once a week. And
he dips his pickles in them. Gross. That didn't sound right.
No, that sounded awful.
Sounded bad. Can I go on to my next one so we can just pretend none of this happened?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's go on.
So this is a huge one for me, and it's sort of boundaries, but more in physical boundaries.
Yeah.
Is modify. Modify
that's a great one.
everything.
Yeah.
I used to feel like if I went to a workout class or did a workout video or made a promise to myself for doing any kind of physical activity that I had to follow the letter of the law, do exactly what the instructor was doing, or I would look foolish.
Yeah.
It has been a game changer to turn on a workout video and say, you know what? It's a 30-minute video. I'm going to do the 5-minute warm-up. You know what? It says do it on your toes. I'm going to do it on my knees. It says, do them really quickly. I do them slowly. It says do it with weights. I do it without weights. I modify even with jumping jacks. I did a HIIT class when I first started, and they said to do jumping jacks, and that can be really tough for someone who's plus size, has a large chest. It's taxing. So guess what? I don't do jumping jacks anymore. I kind of do that, like keep my feet on the ground, but sort of like you're I was going to say shaking a baby when you're sorry. Like, we didn't have a baby, so what are you gonna when you
Don't let vampires hold your baby. This is something that we cannot stress enough. This is my all-star practical tip for you.
Oh my gosh!
Don't let vampires or Catherine hold your baby.
No, but when you're like, go to sleep.
Yeah,
go to sleep.
You're pantomiming like holding a baby
like
on your shoulder on a podcast.
Yeah,
people can't see you doing this right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe start with like a loaf of bread or something, but just like la la la, like just sort of rock. I'm not good at things, so we'll just say that. We were talking about HIIT classes.
Yeah.
So skip the jumping jacks.
Yeah. If an exercise is too hard for you, then do a modified version of it. Do something that you can do. But the important part for me, I'm sorry to take over, but important part for me is that you keep moving. And you don't just see the exercise being too difficult as an opportunity to quit doing anything.
Right. So leave the class early if it's a yoga pose that you can't hold. Like there's certain ones that I physically am not capable of doing. I just move to child's pose. Why not just skip it, use a block, use a band, do something to modify. I used to wait for other people's cues to use a block in class. Turns out you can do whatever you want. You're paying for the class.
Right.
Like, you don't have to do anything. So for me, it really helped to pull back. If you're supposed to do something for a minute, do it for 30 seconds. If you're supposed to do 3 sets, start with 1 set. Modify, modify, modify. It has really helped me be much less self-conscious, too, because I don't want to injure myself. And so modifying, even today, has been really helpful. No, Donald, why don't we move over to you? What are your tips?
Well, pump up the volume.
Pump up the volume.
Yeah, we're still not almost 300 episodes in. We can't get that right. That was also on mine. Another one for me was just eat more protein. Try and include protein with every meal and almost every snack. And I also like to add eat more fruit. Like I've really stepped up my fruit consumption, and that has really helped me a lot because, most of the fruits I can eat so much more of them. I mean, it's sort of related to pump up the volume, but I can eat a lot of them for the calories. I hadn't really thought about, how important adding protein is to feeling full and not being as hungry all the time. So the more protein I eat, the less hungry I am.
Yeah. Well, and a big question to answer, because this comes up a lot, and I'm going to answer it myself. So I'm going to ask the question, but you don't answer it. I'll answer it.
Yeah, got it.
Catherine Dahl, how much protein should I have? More. How much water should I drink per pound? Just more. Just don't worry about, like, when I hyper focus on every snack needs 10 grams of protein and every whatever, I would not eat something that was 9 grams of protein because it wasn't enough. And really, like, fixating on perfection is a fool's errand. So more than you're having today, have a little bit more water, more vegetables, more protein. Do it up your way, and it's super cool to do that.
Yeah, so, exactly what Catherine said. Like, so, just as a quick example, instead of cereal, which has 0 protein in it, essentially, like, maybe go for the eggs or the breakfast sausage or something that is more protein.
Yeah, cottage cheese. You got your tofu scrambles. Lots of ways to get in protein. Do it. And that is what we have to say. So as I'm looking out the window, we started recording very early this morning.
Yeah, it's true.
Not only because vampires are only interviewed in the darkness.
It is not even 8 a.m.
It is not.
As we finish up this episode.
As the crow flies.
It is
so flipping hot right now in Los Angeles.
Oh my goodness. It's stupid hot, and it's supposed to be fall. Well, almost fall.
Yeah, so we're recording early because it's very hot, so I will stop talking about it so that we can stop recording. But there we go. But thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We are grateful for each and every one of you. Hopefully you've gotten something out of this, some things to think about, some tips, some things to add to your life. And speaking of things to add to your life, we have almost 300 other episodes of this show, and they are all still available wherever you find podcasts. We are on all the major podcast platforms, and we are available at any time. Every episode we've done is still available on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about Wolt Place.
Yeah,
We
do that.
Only Look Thin Place is a Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for support, accountability. We do food check-ins, scale check-ins, and it's just a safe place to work on yourself while you are working on your habits. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I recently partnered with Lose It to write their first course about mindset and weight loss. And if you join Wolt Place in the month of September or October, you will receive that course at no additional cost to you as a gift from Lose It.
Yeah, this is 2023, by the way.
Yeah.
You might possibly be listening to this in the future.
In the future.
Yeah.
But if you, if it's 2023 and you are joining it, you will get that premium course, the first of its kind, at no additional cost, just for being a Wolt chum. So check it out.
Yeah, and it's really great. Like, you and the Lose It team did a wonderful job on it. And I don't know if I should say this, but I think they were really lucky to have you and all of your wisdom. I know I am lucky to have you and all of your wisdom. And the members of Wolt Place are lucky to have you and your wisdom.
Well, that is definitely something that 7 years ago I never would have imagined that I would be writing about mindset and boundaries and self-accountability. So it is honestly an honor to be part of it. Super proud of it. And I hope you enjoy it as well. So.
Absolutely. And you can also interact with us on social media. We are at We Only Look Thin on Instagram and Facebook. Or you can send us an email if you have a question, if you'd like some more information about something we've talked about, if you have an episode idea. We have turned a lot of listener emails into episodes of this show, so we like those. Or if you just want to give us a shout out and say hi, and give us a compliment, that kind of thing. We do enjoy compliments.
We do.
For example, Donald and Catherine, you are so good looking. Why don't you have a TV show? Is a great way to start an email to us. So if you want to do that, it is weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, could you head on over to Apple Podcast, leave us a rating and a review. We actually have over 600 star reviews now. Yay. Thank you for helping us get past that goal. And thank you too to our new listeners. We've gotten some shout outs from Lose It already, which is amazing. Thank you so much. New listeners who have found us in other areas. We so appreciate the support and all of the reviews. We read them and I share them with Donald. I usually read them to him.
It's true. It's how I fall asleep at night.
Yes.
She reads our
But-
Apple podcast reviews.
But really, it means so much to know that we are making a difference in your lives, and it also helps us boost our ratings and our placement in the Apple algorithms when other people are looking for podcasts. So please keep them coming. We so appreciate it. Thank you so much for everyone who has left a review already around the world.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. And another way you could help us out that we would really appreciate is just to tell somebody about the show. If you know somebody who might get something out of it, if it comes up in a conversation, say at work, on the golf course, at the grocery store, maybe you're just like hanging with strangers in an elevator. You can talk about
Creepers. We don't. Hey, everybody.
Hey, I know this podcast that you might want to listen to. But, seriously, if telling your friends and family about the show is one of the best ways that helps it grow. And also, if you're on an online group, a Reddit group, a Discord server, a Facebook group, and it would be appropriate to mention us, we would be really grateful for a shout out.
Yep.
So if you are trying to work on your pronunciation of whippoorwill or vampire, just remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.